Action.
The date is August 29th, 8:07 a.m. in the morning. It is a Saturday, and this is the Board State. The Board State is a podcast YouTube service where we discuss articles of the past week for game design for social good. My name is Jeffrey Vierra, also known as Mr. V, and I'm joined with my buddy, not in Anakuli this week. He is in Kapolei, fighting the good fight. And your name is, sir?
Choo! Jack.
You sound broken. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning.
How was your week been?
Oh, I'm loving this lockdown because, we get to play games and that's it.
Got it. Okay. Have you been feeding your mind with some useful knowledge?
Yes and no. I've been watching more history documentaries, yes, but a lot of these history documentaries I like to watch to see what evidence they have conflicting the other.
Okay, cool. I've been pretty busy, focusing my efforts on a possible nonprofit that we are looking at building, which we won't talk about too much here. But yeah, it's been a week, a little bit of distress, but I've been kind of putting that disparity into efforts of determination. So
Yeah.
awesome to hear about your week. So yeah, like I mentioned, we have 5 articles where in this show we pick 5 articles out of the week, and these articles have to be about gaming for social good, with an emphasis on indie design. The first article, and by the way, we've got some really good articles this week. And not saying that we haven't had good articles, but this week, like every article, just like ding, 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 hitting it perfectly. What they're hitting, I don't know, but they're hitting it. First article is by Gamma Sutra, a site we frequently visit. And this is designing business simulation games for global good. Jack, what are your thoughts about this, man?
It's basically what we've been doing all of this time, and not to toot our own horn, but it's reinstating what we've been stating on this podcast for several times, and every time we have a Gamma Sutra article, it's usually to showcase a key concept in game design, either of the past or current day. And this is of current day. As you may have heard, Eric Lang has stepped down from his CEO position. And so
how do we not include that in our articles? I just thought of that. I guess because it was out yesterday, right? Sorry to interrupt, but thank you for mentioning it.
And because of that, you will get to see more of these high-profile game developers, such board game developers, really turning into this new and unbridled market. Some game developers like ourselves have already tried to tap into this market. But the more people see these articles and the more people will only have new ideas coming out. And then the next genre or topic will come out of that. And this will continue to happen. So reading articles like these are always good to get not only a leg up and be at where the market is, but also to continue on with that and maybe find new ideas to evolve that genre or topic, or to find a new one and let that become the next big thing. Articles will always provide that.
Yeah, so here we go. Wow. So what these guys did was they got together and they had these problem statements that they wanted answered. Okay, so what they wanted to do, and I'm just going to read right from the article and cite it, is they wanted to link inequality, unemployment, and access to education, right? And in these three components, the core idea was to sort what sort of education is required to drive job creation and reduce income inequality. Okay. And then how could they package that into a medium, and what kind of channel could they use to deliver this? And what they arrived at was this game called Food Truck Simulation, or Business Heroes Food Truck Simulation. That's their simulation game. And the game's goal is for players to start and grow a successful food truck business and fulfill their dreams. Players must make business decisions based on weather and economic conditions, customer preference, unexpected occurrences, and stock availability. All the while, players receive valuable business lessons from a detailed small business guide embedded in the game and delivered by Master Lee, the in-game business mentor. Like, wow. So these are these simulations that kind of work like a meditative mantra that can teach, can articulate, can show a vision of something.
Right.
So this is exactly what we talk about, just like you said. And this is definitely an article to bookmark if you're in a school or freelancing and is interested in game design for social good, or game design for social change, or game design just to educate. This is something that you could bring out to your potential funders and show, like, hey, this is, because the article also cites some studies that lends itself to game design for social good. Yes, Jack.
Well, the most notable thing that actually I took from this article was the ending paragraph when they was describing one of the characters, or your main goal, which is Master Lee. Now, as one of the wealthiest individuals, nothing matters more to him than finding his successor, someone willing to learn the ins and outs of his business, a true business hero with exceptional skills worthy of his vast business empire. So it's basically like taking up like a whole idea of the old Japanese businessman finding like someone he could mentor, someone, and that concept too. So it doesn't only have to be about gaming for good. It could have other ideals and topics hidden beneath it. Blah.
Okay, thank you. So to close my comments, and again, just say I don't want to rephrase what these guys are saying, because it's just so eloquently put. At Visionaries, as the company, our ultimate vision is to empower, entertain, and educate the world through the power of business simulation games, and hopefully reduce global income inequality, unemployment, and access to education. Right-click copy, right-click paste. These guys are fighting the good fight. All right, so that was Designing Business Simulation Games for Global Good. These guys are super cool, by Gamma Sutra. Next article, little heartwarming, heartfelt game. The article is entitled Takeshi and Hiroshi is a heartwarming game about game design, by CBR.com. Jack, what is your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's inevitable, and as we continue into this industry into the future, and as we get more game developers, you will find games like this to re-emphasize each game developer's story. And I would highly encourage people to make games about their stories. It don't have to be with their names, but just the whole concept of showcasing it and really allowing people to experience what they may have never been able to experience. And so this one arc really highlights this, and it really tells you that the game itself is there's going to be more, like, not just from this game developer, but more other individuals as the industry becomes more and more bigger, especially with this year. More people are going to be coming into the industry either for financial reasons, for the love of gaming, or to experience a new art form or career. These things has different perspectives and different challenges. So I won't be surprised if you see more games like this. And I really think this is gonna set like a precedence or a genre-making effect. Slowly but surely, you know. And maybe we could find like other games because we always see this with tycoon simulators and politician simulators, but not really like giant tour simulators or like, you know, the everyday employees. When you do, it's often in a extravagant extent, which is also good because a game needs to be fun. But yeah.
Game definitely needs to be fun. Okay, thank you for that. So Takeshi and Hiroshi is a 2-hour game, 2-hour-ish game, which I thought is really cool. I was very interested in designing a short video game that maybe even lasts 30 minutes, but you replay it over and over again. So I think there's something very cool about it being in like a short time constraint. And yeah, it's a very simple game about one brother in the hospital. I think Hiroshi's in the hospital. Yeah, it's Hiroshi. And he has a strange illness, which I love that they just kind of label it like a strange illness. They don't really define it somehow. They leave it in ambiguity. And then his brother, Takeshi, right, wants to lift the spirits of his brother in the hospital, suffering and going through distress. So he's making a game, and you're helping him make this game. From what I understand of the game, I haven't played it. And that's super crazy cool. Like, what? Like, oh man, what a cool concept for a game. Just it's an emotionally intelligent story that incorporates game design into the game itself. So it's like this meta thing going on. And yeah, I wanted to highlight this. I definitely would love to play it, especially at a 2-hour mark. I can fit that into some time, or sleep 2 hours less so I can play that game. But yeah, super cool. I love it. Please check this game out. Support these kind of games. And that's something to mention too. As consumers and purchasers, if you want to see more games like this type of game, or even the food truck simulation game that we've seen in the article before this, the only way for them to survive and to have the industry grow is that we have to purchase these games. Like we by supporting them, we are creating a scene. We're creating like a specific genre of gaming. So yeah.
It doesn't have to be purchasing. For example, this article and the article before that, they wrote about it and they posted on the internet. Now we're talking about it. You could also do it that way by sharing these games out and being like, hey guys, check this out, or stuff like that. If you cannot afford it. Some of the games are like expensive, so because of the products or just the time hours needed. So of course, if you can't afford it, there's other ways you could support them.
Yes, Jeff. Yes, thank you. But if you can, please buy the game. All right.
Why are you laughing?
No, because yeah, nothing. Okay. So CBR.com, Takeshi and Hiroshi is a heartwarming game about game design. All right. Next article. This is by Game Industry News, and it's been some time since we talked about something from Game Industry News, and this is a breakdown, really well organized on the top careers, specifically in video game design, and based on the Department of Labor and pay scale. This is roughly about how much you would make in these positions. So Jack, what are your thoughts on this breakdown?
Yes, this is going to be another article to highlight, and not really to highlight just because, oh, this is how much money you can be making in the game industry, but also to showcase gaming is not just game developers. Most people get crowded into the idea of, oh, if you're gonna be in the gaming industry, you need to be a game developer. But with that, it has a whole other section of teams, like game artists, quality assurance people, beta testers, producers, engineers, and they go over most of these major topics and major career options are not just gaming in this article. So if you feel like programming is not your strongest suit, but you still want to get into the industry, this really showcases the ideals and concepts that you may want to explore. For example, if you're awesome at drawing but have not really that much desire to be a work with sound, then you should be a game artist, and it gives you actual payment per year from data that they collected from the governments. So it really is something that you should really take with you, but also take it as a starting place, because each year or each month can be different. For example, at the beginning of this lockdown, we saw a huge spike in game developers and profits. And then now coming to the moderate, we see that spike less so with AAA games, but more with indies. So you always need to be aware of that, and that's where this article really shades.
Okay, cool. Fantastic article. I want to just go through a few of these roles here. And so game designer, so that's somebody that kind of oversees everything. Oh no, not oversees. Actually, they're doing the planning, like the overall kind of head of the project. So they get 55. Mm-hmm.
I think you meant to say game producer.
No. So the video game designers plan the stories, create the graphics, test the games, and work out any bugs, right? So they're kind of the spear of the project.
Sorry.
So they make no problem. They make 55,000 on average, with leading designers about 81K per year, and then the programmers, of course, the programmer, they're doing all the technical programming for the game itself. So the interesting thing was this is they're making, and it's still a significant amount of money, but they're making about 55K plus per year. So yeah, it's not really. I think there's a misconception, right? That if you mentioned a little bit, that if you want to make a game, you got to be a programmer.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, if you're a small indie hub, you're going to wear multiple hats. But you don't just have to be a programmer. Like, you can bring in a programmer. You can find somebody that programs. And there's a lot of other positions, like a company, that that are beyond just the programmer, and that they don't make the most money in the company. So that's the game programmer. Quality assurance, that's your QA testers, and they make 33K. So that's still a pretty significant amount of money there. And yeah, there's a lot of writing, I know, with QA, the emphasis on the ability to articulate what's happening in the game. Game artists, so they start about 20K. Oh no, I'm sorry, I went down a little bit. So about 42K a year. That's pretty damn good for a game artist. Very, very good. Now, this next one is the one, and I remember, and I mentioned this previously in an episode, could have been last year's BlizzCon, or the BlizzCon before that. They were saying that there's a lack of audio engineers in the gaming realm. Like, there's not a lot, and I think it's, and they mentioned this as well, and I think it's because it's not commonly associated, again, with this whole programmer, mindset, that there's this open space in audio engineering for game design. So you start at about 20K, with senior designers making 100K a year. Wow, that's a lot of money. All right. And then, of course, like Jack alluded to, career producers, they are the overseers. They are keeping the time in check. They're managing the budget and making sure that people are getting paid. They are looking at the marketing and Yeah, and they're the bridge between the publisher and the developer, where the money's coming in and then who's actually making the game. So yeah, it's a fantastic breakdown, not just to show you how much these guys are making, but looking at the different roles in the creation of a video game.
And one last thing for me is that it really also allows you to go back from your high school days and be like, okay, what was I good at? Was I good at in leadership? Then maybe I should try and go for a game producer or the game developer. Or was I in love with coding or computer science? Then I will try to go for game programming. Especially if you were in digital media, you'll be wondering, oh, is audio engineering or marketing should I focus on in the gaming world? Because both of them have two different sets of skills requirements. But if you have prior experience, especially if you started young, you will gain more skills and you will be easily acquire these skills, these higher tier skills that you need to be successful in these careers.
Yep. All right, thank you for that. So that is game industry news, top careers in video game design. All right, stepping away from video game design for a sec, we wanted to highlight that Discord looks to grow beyond its gaming roots, and this is by Axios.com. Yeah, good job, Discord. What are your thoughts on this article, Jack?
Guys, it's not Discord is not doing this, and Discord is not doing this to just gain more. Well, it's not only just to gain more money. It really is to. By Discord doing this, it really allows gamer and gaming in general to expand to other genres as well. And though it's just like a falsely, the amount of users coming on their stuff that is non-gamers related, especially after this lockdown, must be huge. I don't know exact numbers. Did the article state it?
Yeah, they got over 100 million monthly active users.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so they're valuing the company at they're valuing the company as 3.5 billion.
Jeez. But just by Discord expanding operations, this also means for us gamers that we have more options and more opportunities to gain not just new ideas, but new concepts. For example, say a business meeting wants to host a meeting on there. Now Discord will have to expand operations to that extent, which only benefits us because it will allow us to have like better connection or better video feeds when we're streaming or doing gameplay. So by them expanding operations, though you will see some decrease in gaming support, you will see actually an increase in the long term. So that's my take on it.
Cool. So if you don't know what Discord is, Discord was a method for game players specifically, to talk to one another while they're playing games. Because games like World of Warcraft at the time didn't really have a way for raids to communicate, so they would use the service where teams could communicate to each other, right? And free, essentially. Like you could give them like $5 a month or whatever it was back in the day, and you get some cool emoji stuff that you can use, or some animated text or whatever it was. I don't remember, but that was like the humble beginning. This must be like a decade ago or something. I don't really remember how long ago. And then of course everybody knows 6 months ago COVID happened, and then they exploded. Discord became the hangout virtual coffee cafe space, without the coffee, for everything, for D&D games, for just people talking story, hanging out, continued to be used as a gaming medium, right? Mm-hmm. We used it as, I used Discord before, but in the end of the year when COVID hit, we couldn't meet in a classroom anymore. We used Discord as a means of a virtual classroom, which worked very, very well for us. And yeah, and it's, you know, it's becoming at first it was like a band-aid fix
Mm-hmm.
for distant communication, but now it's becoming the spot and growing beyond. Yes, chat.
It was made in May 13, 2015.
Gotcha. Oh wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
we're looking at 4 years ago, right? No, 5 years ago. We're
5
2020.
years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. So what was I saying before Jack gave us the date? Oh yeah. So this Discord, I know in the business community was looked at like kind of the gaming thing. You know, if you play games, you use it. If you don't play games, you use Slack or a place like that. But now businesses and educational facilities are using it for meeting spaces and for distant learning. So good on Discord, man. I know they must be just scaling exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome article.
It's
Discord looks to grow beyond its gaming roots by Axios.com. What's that, Jack?
it's only gonna be good things from here, unless
Yeah.
they say up.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. All right. Okay. Video games against violence. How one nonprofit is creating change by the HollywoodReporter.com. Jack, what are your articles on this? What are your articles? What are your thoughts on this article? I haven't had enough caffeine yet. What are your articles about this thought? Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
Well, honestly, it really showcased because he was inspired by his own loss, which was after he lost his daughter to a tragic incident due to violence, behavioral violence, or was it relationship violence? It says in
Yeah,
the article.
ex-boyfriend killed her, man.
Yeah, and so basically, his pain and suffering, he harnessed that into creating like not just this nonprofit, but also using games as social good. And in a way, well, he is challenging the narrative, especially for gaming as a whole, because he is using gaming to showcase the signs, the warning signs of abusive relationships, and encouraging people to learn more, or encouraging people to play these games so they could realize these signs and try to stop it in the future so they don't have to suffer what he had to suffer too. And you're going to see game developers more like this, telling their stories, whether it's happy, I just won $1 million, here's my story, or sad, like this one. But each of these stories will always be associated to each other through this close connection that gaming could only offer, which is by telling your story, now you have a community to support you, whether you be be a board gamer, a video gamer, someone who loves to do ARG, someone who loves to do puzzles. No matter what type of gamer you are, you will always find support for these game developers, and vice versa. So you won't see that in like films or really television, or even to a certain extent the music industry, because of that. It's not be centered around that close connections, especially if you're going into ball gaming and like how he did.
Cool, great, thank you. This is what a great article this is. So, Drew Crescente, like we mentioned, daughter went through just a tragedy, right? So he experienced as a father a tragedy. So one way that he dealt with that was he created a non-profit charity organization focused on preventing abuse behavior amongst teenagers. And that was just the beginning. Now, what came out of that was a game like Grace's Diary, and which raised awareness on issues like this, and then it just like, and that was in 2010. So he, you know, this happened a while ago. So since 2010, he's really expanded into, now he has these like game jams where these developers like challenge, they go through this competition almost like the X Prize or Purple Maya, the Purple Prize that we have here, where players compete to create games like that, like games for social awareness or social change or social good. So holy moly, what a what a fantastic! This is another one. This is another article to bookmark and to kind of keep in your arsenal. So when you're talking to somebody about how games can really impact people's lives, you can say, "Hold on, let me let me grab my phone here and bring this up and take a look at this. This is another really concrete example on why games matter."
And not just that, but it also gives you hints like, oh, where to start, or where do I want to get more publicity. He's running game jams and offering like a prize. So by you applying your games into these game jams, especially if it has to do with social change, social good, then you will be not only finding a new audience, but also a new way to market your games. Guys like him are not the exception. They're all moral guys. It's just this article found this one, and because of his story in Transcend, like how Tran does, it really allowed his events to go up. But there was going to be more events coming, especially now.
Yep, thank you for that. All right, video games against violence, how one nonprofit is creating change by thehollywoodreporter.com. All right, so at this point, we would generally end the show. We would, you know, talk about where you can reach us and things like that, and we would answer a question of the day, which I don't know. Should we answer the question of the day, Jeff?
Yes,
you think we got time for that? Okay.
Because
Okay.
you know why? We missed last week.
Okay. Well, we didn't miss. We recorded, but we had some audio issues, so we decided to not send out a subpar episode. Okay, so we snuck in one more article. This is a bonus article provided by Jack. I know what you're all thinking, but relax.
Pull
it's gonna be fine.
Pull in.
Yeah. Okay. So we got one more article, and then we're going to go into our question of the day. All right. So this article is, get ready. Tell me why reckons with the dark. Explores the church's deep roots in Filipino American culture. Jack, tell us the breadth of what this gem of a find is. Oh my goodness.
So it's all about telling your stories, and I'm pretty sure this is what it's going to be the title for this podcast. But it's really that, and not all of our stories are going to be happy. Not all of our stories are going to be sad. But this one is telling about what Tessa's and True Hall and the game, basically the game developer story of how Filipino America and the whole unorthodox thing of being a Filipino and not being or using faith in oh my god, my brain is not letting me pronounce it. Can you pronounce
Catholic?
it? Yeah,
Catholicism?
Catholic. Yeah, Catholics. Okay, I'm Roman Catholic, and I'm messing up my own religion. Yes, I know. But it's really showcasing that whole disconnect and how this religion was forced onto them, and it's not their ways before that. It wasn't their ways. So, and it showcased that throughout this article and throughout the game. And I really am having a hard time explaining it more without giving like
Give it
story.
away. Give it
Just
away. Yeah.
no,
Give it
I'm
away.
not. I'm not that
Right.
guy. So if you want to spoil it, fine. But I highly recommend it. And just skip over Mr. V stuff if he's going to spoil it. I am sorry if he does.
Wow. Thank you, Jack, for your support on this show. Your continued support in this show. Okay. Are you done talking about it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Do you think they understood what this game's about by your description of what this game's
No,
about?
no, I
Okay.
really don't think so.
All right. So what do we have here in this article? Let me just start off with the first couple of paragraphs, which is short, but I think it really sets the tone for why this game exists. So it wasn't so dramatic when I left my faith. 12 years of Catholic education simply took its toll, leaving me with confusion, apathy, and fatigue instead of fulfillment. Rampant abuse through the church and unrelenting persecution of LGBTQ communities made leaving easy. I just woke up one day and decided it wasn't for me. Why I can't change is my ethnicity. I am an American child of Filipino immigrants. Not unlike Irish and Italian families, Catholicism is rooted in the Filipino way of life. Ask any of us. Leonardo's The Last Supper triggers memories of family's dining room. Growing up, I was extra careful to not knock over one of these with a plastic lightsaber. So, so when you're a Filipino leaving Catholicism, doesn't mean the cultural values and expectations of Catholicism leaving you. So here we are again. With some kind of emotional distress or problem statement, and then a positive way to react against that emotion or that distress is gamifying it, right? Is creating a game about this, and this is exactly what they did in this game. It's an Xbox exclusive, so you need an Xbox to play this for now. Maybe they'll port it over to some other platforms or PC, but that's where the game begins, and really it's a very heartwarming article. I'm using that name a lot today, but yeah, it explores religion, LGBTQ issues, which is very tricky to do well in a gaming space or in any medium. Yeah, this is fantastic game. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on this article. I think it's a fantastic find, Jack. Thank you. All right.
You just did, I think, a more comprehensive take than what
Okay, sure. Yeah, all right. I mean, okay, got it. So that's by inverse.com. Tell me why reckons with the dark side of Filipino Catholicism. Okay, so now we're going to go to our question of the week. And Jack, where can they email us questions?
You could email us questions, comments, concerns, artwork at theboardstate@gmail.com, and you could also support us at we have a couple games on the market, the Depression Game and Hoodie, and you can find them at the dwcrafters.com.
dwcrafters.com.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then before we go into our article of the day, Jack, can you talk a little bit about this ARG that we have going on right now?
Yes, so we are doing an ARG that's basically a mystery hunt and teaching you Hawaiian history, and now we're offering gift cards, and at the end, a brand new PS5 to the winner.
PS5, man. We're giving away a PlayStation 5 just for participating and answering clues. There's no buy-in. It's free. You just need a Facebook account. And where do they go to play, Jack?
Facebook groups /AO8ARG.
Yep. So facebook.com /groups/808ARG.
I always mess up that one. I'm watching.
That's okay.
The last time we're gonna mention it, I'm gonna have it down perfectly.
Yeah, what we may want to probably do is do a URL shortener or something to make it more palatable. All right, so the question of the day is, where do you both see the top careers in video game creation, video game design? So we talked a little bit about, and this is by Alpha329. I'm sure it's not his real name, or her real name, or its real name. We went over today, that was by Game Industry News, right? Like their take on what the top careers in video game design is, but we're going to give you our opinion in where the top careers in video game designs are. So go ahead and start it off, Jack.
I feel
that the children are our future. Teach them well.
No. Not
sorry.
Not that. Whatever. But I honestly feel that we're gonna see hybrid careers.
You're gonna see not hybrid careers?
Yeah, how indie developers, you will have game developer, game producer, like us, for example. We're not just one set of career. We are multiple at the exact same time. I honestly feel it's not gonna be just one game developer or one game producer now. Especially with AAAs and indies becoming more and more trying to evolve as fast as they can, especially now, I really feel like we're gonna see more people doing more stuff in a time constraint. And though it will possess new hurdles and new stresses, I really think it's for the better, because then you have no miscommunications on any department. For example, a lot of the games that happened in 2019 had a lot of miscommunications between departments, and because of that, a lot of the games in that year wasn't going well. Reason why board gaming, especially in that year, went over video games in just sales and also people love. And now through those lessons, I really think we're gonna see hybrid. But yeah.
Okay. So this is a trick question. So I think the top career really, or the lucrative career in video games, is definitely sound engineering. Sound engineering. There's a huge demand for sound engineers. Something every game. Well, not every game. I would say the majority of the games are going to need sound. You could probably make a game without sound, be interesting, but you know, when you're drawing your weapon, there's going to be a sound effect to it. You know, when you land on the sidewalk from a jump, there's going to be sound associated with it. There's going to be background noise. There's going to be birds chirping. So that's I feel is a lucrative field in game design. But what I would suggest is, rather than try to, because it's going to take some skills to get there. You're gonna need to sit down for some time and learn how to do that thing that you're doing, whether it's art, programming, whatever. Mm-hmm. So rather than look at the most lucrative career to do in video game design, I would say follow what you have a keen interest in. So if you think art's cool, you like drawing art, stick with that. Do the art, rather than asking the question, how much do artists get paid with making video games? And the reason for that is very, very simple. In any interest that you have, even if you're really good at it, there will come a time when you will doubt what you're doing. It's just human nature. I have been programming for let's say 35 years right now, and I'm not the best, but I've been doing it for a very long time, so I know my way around the keyboard. And every day I am like why am I so bad at this? You know, like why am I doing it? Why am I wasting my time doing this? Like, is everybody this horrible at doing it? And so just it's just human nature, right? And what pushes me through those moments is I love programming. I love figuring out, how things work and streamlining coding processes and writing cleaner code and things like that. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and especially if it's like a skill that is not in gaming, it could be associated to gaming. For example, you like to talk to people, then you will be either good Q&A tester. Like, oh, okay, so tell me honestly, how do you feel about this game? Okay, what is the basic concept of the game? Make sure there's understanding. Or you could be a good marketer. Hey, here's this game. Here is all of these new contents. Please help us out. Or stuff like that. So skills that you may have and that may not be associated to gaming but you love may actually have an association to gaming. You just need to find that link.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you all for listening. We went a little bit longer today, but we're making up for lost time last week. Jack, any closing words?
Yes, 1, Poland strong. And 2, just be safe out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. If you could support each other through these organizations that's been popping up, please do so. If not, just stay safe. Have fun.
Hi. Okay. Thank you, Jack, for that. I'm sure Poland really appreciates that. Ding. My closing words would just say, just to reiterate something that the Dalai Lama had mentioned in a YouTube video that I watched, is that, yeah, we are going through moments of distress and sadness, and because of just this unforeseen thing that's just happening around us. But the more sadness or hurt that you're feeling, on the upside, the stronger your determination should be to help those around you. So that's my closing thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.